It's your friend Hot Dog, and today we're making Portuguese custard tarts, aka Pasteis de Natas. Our first order of business is to make our puff pastry. So I have all of my ingredients weighed out here: my flour, sugar, salt, butter, and water and eggs. Using a mixing bowl with a spiral attachment, I'm going to add in all of my ingredients. I'm going to mix this dough on medium-low speed for about 5 minutes to start developing the gluten. After about 4 minutes of mixing, your dough should be nicely incorporated, and now we're going to mix this on medium-high speed for another 4 minutes. Now that I have my dough all mixed together, I'm going to lightly dust the surface and roll this into a rectangle. That way it's easier to start the lamination process later on. Now that I have my dough in a nice rectangular shape, I'm gonna pop this into the refrigerator for at least 30 minutes. You can also prep this ahead of time and you can let it chill in the fridge overnight. I have my butter weighed out here on top of a piece of parchment, and my butter is also soft, so that's gonna make it easier to roll out into our square shape. So I have my butter encased in my piece of parchment, and now using a rolling pin, I'm just going to push the butter out into all the corners, making it my very own butter block. I'm going to put this in the fridge to firm up, and next we're going to make our custard filling. The first thing that we need to do is make our inverted sugar, which is just a simple syrup, but we're going to bring it to 104 degrees. That way the molecules become more stable and it gives our custard a richer, more creamy consistency, and it keeps it stabilized. While that's coming up to 104 degrees Celsius, I'm going to start weighing out my other ingredients for the custard. Just brought my inverted sugar up to 104 degrees. Now I'm just going to pour it into another container, and using the same pot, I'm going to start building my custard. To my pot, I'm gonna add my flour in. And this is going to be a thickening agent. And then I'm going to add in half of our milk. This a good mix, and then get it on the stove. So our roux is starting to thicken up. Now I'm gonna continue adding in the milk. Our milk is incorporated with the flour and it's slightly thick. I'm going to stream in my inverted syrup. Next, we have to temper our egg yolks so they don't scramble in the hot liquid. So I'm going to slowly begin to add some of this hot liquid into our egg yolks, continuously mixing at the same time. Using a sieve or a strainer, pour your egg mix back into your pot. This extra lumpy stuff, we don't want that in our custard. Now back onto the stove, we're going to continuously whisk this until it reaches 82 degrees Celsius. Last thing I'm gonna do is add in about 10 grams of vanilla paste. Pour this back through the fine mesh strainer and get it into the fridge to cool. Okay, so our dough has been chilling in the fridge for a little over 2 hours. Now we're going to lock in our butter block and begin rolling out and adding in our folds. So as you can tell, my butter block is malleable. If it's too cold, your butter's gonna break and crack inside your dough, and we don't want that. To encase our butter block, we're gonna roll out our dough a little bit more, pushing our weight into the corners. I'm gonna place my butter block into the center and then fold each flap over, encasing the butter. Now since we have our nice dough butter package, We're going to roll this out. So now we're going to perform our first letter turn, which is also known as a single turn. So you're going to bring 1/2 of your dough 2/3 of the way, like that. And then you're going to bring the other half of your dough over the top of that first half. So you have 3 layers. Now we're going to turn it and do this one more time. So I'm going to roll it out a little bit more. And you always want the seam to be facing you, so you don't get confused. Now we're going to repeat the same process that we just did. So we're doing another single letter turn. I'm going to bring my one side 2/3 of the way, and then bring my other piece and have it overlap the first piece, like that. Now I'm going to cover this and let it rest in the fridge for 30 minutes to an hour. We're going to do our very last single turn fold. This is now our 3rd and final single fold turn. Now I'm going to put this in the fridge and let it chill for at least an hour. After we completed our 3 single letter turns, we're going to roll out our dough and then roll it up into a log. I'm just going to roll this up into a nice tight spiral. Once you have your dough log that has been chilled, we're going to cut them into about 1/2 inch size discs, or they should be about maybe like 25 grams. Once you have your puff pastry discs, there's 2 ways that you can fill your tart molds with the puff pastry. First way is to simply roll them out with a rolling pin and a little bit of flour. Like that. Second way is to take your disc, place it into the center, and begin to press your thumbs into the pastry to work it up the sides. Whatever method you choose, you want to make sure that the pastry goes above the lip of the tin. So I put my tart shells into the freezer for about 15 minutes just to harden a little bit. Now I'm going in with my custard filling. I'm filling it up about 2/3 of the way because this is going to expand in the oven.
As always, thanks so much for watching.